What if I told you that even before your first breath, you had already marked this exact moment as the trigger that would change your entire existence? I'm not talking about some random event, but a sacred point in the invisible fabric of time, woven by your own hands in the silence of your pre-existence. There are moments that are not accidents or a product of chance. They are encounters between your soul and a commitment made long before you were born. Imagine a map that isn't drawn on paper, but in the very energy of the universe, lines of light that intertwine, forming subtle portals, rare alignments, secret coordinates that only your essence recognizes. You have carried this map since your first heartbeat, but the memory of it lay dormant, like a melody that can only be heard when the world's silence is deep enough. And now, without you even realizing it, you are standing directly in front of this portal. Perhaps this is why certain days feel denser, certain encounters more urgent, and certain signs more persistent. The call isn't external, it vibrates from within, as if something that has always been asleep is beginning to stir, demanding that you stop, look, and cross through. This moment isn't just a chapter in your life, it is the password to a room you yourself locked, trusting that in due time you would have the courage to open it. The feeling that invades you is not new, it is recognition. You are not just living, you are remembering. Before we continue, if this video is being helpful to you, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. This helps more people receive this message. Some points on your journey are not simple stops, but inevitable intersections, nodes of destiny where all the lines of your path meet, even if they have spread out on completely different routes. Imagine a vast cosmic tapestry being woven for ages, with each thread representing a choice, an encounter, a detour. No matter how far you've strayed, no matter how many strange shortcuts you've taken, all these threads eventually meet again at these key points. These markers are different from ordinary dates. They carry their own magnetism, as if an invisible gravitational field surrounds them, pulling you back onto the right track. It might be a specific day, a season, a numerical repetition that insists on showing itself, or a planetary alignment that awakens sensations you can't explain. It's as if the universe itself is winking at you, reminding you, it's here, it's now. Esotericism tells us about ley lines, energetic currents that cross the earth and, when they meet, create portals of extreme potentiality. Human life, in the same way, has its own energetic crossings, marked not only by geography, but by time and internal space. And when one of these nodes activates, there is no resistance that can hold back the flow. These points are not imposed by blind fate. They are agreements between your will and your highest purpose. They are decisions made by a wiser version of you, even before you put on this flesh. And now, upon arriving before this node again, you are called to remember that every step, every stumble, every apparent delay, everything was part of the route so that you would be exactly here, in this second. Before a portal opens, the field around you begins to change, and you feel it even before you understand. It's as if reality starts whispering your name in different languages. In a dream, in the wind, in the gaze of a stranger on the street. Vivid dreams return night after night, carrying archetypal symbols that seem to come from another time. Keys, bridges, doors, animals that watch you in silence. They are not mere images, they are codes that your soul instinctively deciphers. Improbable encounters accumulate, people you haven't seen in years suddenly reappear. Seemingly casual conversations bring exactly the words you needed to hear. Synchronicity ceases to be the exception and becomes the rule, and suddenly everything seems coordinated with millimeter precision. Totemic animals begin to cross your path persistently, a butterfly that accompanies you for meters, a crow perched where you pass every day, a cat that stares at you as if it knows what is coming. These presences carry messages, holding keys to your process, even if you don't yet understand their language. Even your body responds, moments of inexplicable lightness, as if gravity has loosened, alternate with sensations of sudden heaviness, as if you are passing through dense layers of energy. The perception of time changes. Hours pass like minutes, or minutes drag on as if they were hours. These signs are not noise, they are preparation. It is the vibrational field adjusting to support the intensity of what is about to arrive. There is a sound that has always been yours, a pure, singular tone that was born with you and has accompanied you since the very beginning, but which, over time, was lost under the weight of the world. Life, with its demands and noises, forced you to tune your energy to fit into spaces that weren't yours. Each adaptation, each concession, each attempt to mold yourself to an unaligned environment added layers of interference over that original melody. Now, something begins to happen. It's as if, in the middle of a noisy orchestra, all the instruments stop for an instant, and you can hear, again, that pure sound that was always there. This return is not just emotional or spiritual, it is vibrational. The resonance of your soul begins to expand, breaking through the barriers that once muffled it. In the esoteric field, we speak of harmonic resonance, the state in which your energy comes into tune with the original matrix that gave you form. It is the moment when the auric field purifies itself, gradually expelling what is not yours. You may feel this as a growing clarity, a sense of being in the right key after a long time of playing out of tune. This frequency does not just return, it strengthens, and with it comes the remembrance of who you are, where you came from, and where you were always destined to go. It is not a reunion with something new, but the revelation of that which, deep down, was never lost. It is the sound that opens doors, aligns paths, attracts what resonates, and dissolves what doesn't match. It is the silent call of your own essence saying, "Welcome back." When your original frequency begins to vibrate again, something inevitable happens. What is not aligned with it begins to move away. It is not a sudden movement, but a silent and inevitable reorganization, like leaves falling from a tree in autumn. People who were once a constant part of your routine begin to distance themselves. Places that once seemed familiar now cause discomfort. Habits that were once natural begin to feel heavy, out of place. This distancing, at first, can be felt as loss, loneliness, or even rejection, but in fact it is a process of purification. It's as if your energetic field, upon reaching a new degree of clarity, creates a natural barrier against dissonant frequencies. There is no struggle, no imposition. There is simply no more vibrational compatibility. In alchemical language, this moment is compared to the work of the alchemist who separates gold from impurities. The gold was always there, but it was necessary to remove, with patience and precision, everything that covered it. This process, although it may bring nostalgia or longing, also frees up space for new, purer, and more aligned connections and experiences to manifest. It is important to understand that this refinement is not about rejecting the world or closing yourself off from life. On the contrary, it is about opening yourself up to a more authentic flow, where the exchange of energy is balanced and true. It is the spiritual maturity of realizing that not everything that accompanies the journey was made to cross all the portals with you, and that letting go is not losing, but creating space for what truly belongs. As what is not aligned dissolves, something new, or rather something old and familiar, begins to approach. It is the moment you begin to find those who vibrate at the same frequency, who share not just ideas, but a silent, almost ancestral recognition. These people don't arrive with formal introductions. They appear with the strange and comforting feeling that you already knew them long before this encounter. In the esoteric plane, we speak of soul lineages, groups that life after life meet again to fulfill collective missions, to activate each other, and to sustain energetic fields that would be impossible to maintain alone. When you cross the path of these souls, there is a natural magnetism, as if an invisible thread, woven for centuries, pulls everyone to the same point. These connections do not depend on time or physical proximity. A glance can carry more intimacy than years of living with others. A brief conversation can open internal portals you didn't even know were closed. And more importantly, these reunions are not just for comfort. They come to catalyze changes, to challenge you to live at your highest potential. When you are with your soul tribe, the energy flows effortlessly, the silence is comfortable, and projects or dreams seem to come to life on their own. It's as if everyone is connected to the same source, working together, consciously or unconsciously, to manifest something that transcends the individual experience. And deep down, you know, no matter how much time passes, this reunion was always written on the sacred map you brought before you were born. When your frequency stabilizes and your soul tribe begins to form around you, something profound happens within you. Intuition ceases to be a sporadic visitor and becomes a constant presence. It's as if an internal compass, once covered by fog, now points with clarity to every direction that truly matters. You notice the subtleties of the environment, the small shifts in energy, the micro-expressions that reveal more than words. It is no longer just a hunch. It is a direct reading of the energetic field of situations and people, as if you can feel the history and intention behind every movement. Paths that once seemed confusing now reveal patterns. Decisions that once required pros and cons lists now find an answer in seconds, not by rushed logic, but by a knowing that comes from a place deeper than the mind. This heightened sensitivity is not just for protecting yourself from dangers or avoiding wear and tear. It becomes a tool for expansion. You begin to recognize opportunities that others don't perceive, to feel when a seemingly ordinary encounter is in fact a key to the next level of your journey. It's like hearing the secret melody behind the music everyone else hears, and as you follow this internal compass, you realize that it does not fail. Every step guided by this deep connection seems to open invisible doors, align circumstances, and attract perfect encounters at the exact right time. It is the universe responding to your alignment, saying, "Keep going, you are on the right path." There comes a moment when you realize you are no longer the same person who began this journey. But unlike what many imagine, this transformation doesn't happen with explosions, shouts, or dramatic ruptures. It happens in silence. It's as if, little by little, you're taking off a cloak you wore for years, maybe decades, and which now no longer fits, no longer warms, no longer represents who you are. The old self, molded to survive in environments that did not correspond to your truth, begins to dissolve naturally. Masks that were once indispensable simply fall away, effortlessly. Doors you insisted on keeping open close on their own, without resentment, like chapters that come to an end because they have fulfilled their purpose. Even memories that used to weigh you down begin to lose their power, like shadows that dissolve in the soft morning light. In alchemical symbolism, this process is like the final transmutation of an impure substance into something pure and polished. It is not destruction, it is integration. Everything you have lived, including the roles and identities you are now leaving behind, becomes part of the gold you carry, a gold that not only shines outward, but heats and illuminates from within. This silent dissolution brings a different kind of peace. It is not the peace of one who has won an external battle, but of one who has ceased an internal battle. You understand that you no longer need to prove anything or force impossible fits. The space that opens within you is, at the same time, a farewell and an invitation, a farewell to who you were and an invitation to the fullness of who you were born to be. There are moments on the spiritual journey when, upon crossing a portal, you know there is no way back, not because someone is stopping you, but because the version of you that inhabited the before no longer exists. It's like a river that upon reaching a waterfall cannot return to being a spring. The current flows, inevitable, towards new landscapes. When the new frequency stabilizes, old doors close permanently. They don't lock violently, but with a serene and absolute finality. This is what mystics call the sealed timeline, a point where choices, vibrations, and decisions fix on a path of greater coherence with the soul's purpose, and the old flow of experiences simply ceases to exist for you. It may be that for an instant, your mind tries to revisit places and people from the past, like someone looking over their shoulder to see what was left behind. But in doing so, you realize that that scenario no longer responds, no longer vibrates, no longer dialogues with who you are now. It's like trying to use an old key on a door that has already been replaced by another. This point of no return is not punishment, it is liberation. It ensures that the advancement is irreversible, that the lessons learned are not forgotten, and that the energy invested in your evolution is not wasted in repetitions. It is the spiritual seal that confirms you have crossed over, and nothing will ever be the same. You are before a moment that will not be repeated. This is a sacred point of alignment, an instant that carries within it centuries of invisible preparation. Every sign you received, every encounter you experienced, every change that made you uncomfortable, everything has converged to now. It is not coincidence. It is not luck. It is the fulfillment of an ancient agreement, marked on the map of your soul even before you were born. The portal before you does not wait. It pulses open, inviting you to cross. But this crossing is not done by running or being distracted. It requires presence, internal silence, and the courage to carry with you only what is true. It is time to pay close attention to the signs around you, to withdraw, to feel the energetic field that surrounds you, to consciously respond to the call. Perhaps, looking back, you will see how many times you approached this point and didn't recognize it. But now, with your instincts activated and your frequency restored, there is no more room for hesitation. This is the moment when you stop just living and begin, in fact, to fulfill what you came here to do. The portal is open. It does not wait. And you were born to cross it. Before I end, I want to hear from you. What signs have been appearing lately? What encounters or omens have made your heart vibrate? Share in the comments and allow this conversation to expand so that more souls who are before the same call find the courage to cross. And if you feel that this message can help someone, share it. You never know when a word is the trigger for another soul to awaken.